Hey everybody, it's Joseph Conyers, aka Weatherclap, and welcome to Play Me an Excerpt, a platform where musicians like you can play an excerpt for a professional like me. I created this show to help demystify the audition process, hopefully making your next audition a success. Orchestra auditions, they just don't happen every day, but now playing for an expert is only a hashtag away. So let's get started. Hello everybody and welcome to this week's edition of Play Me an Excerpt. So last week we heard Daniel, double bass. This week we have Xavier, a violinist from Cuena, Ecuador. And we also have a special treat. One of my goals with this program was to invite other voices to be able to provide feedback that can also be helpful for the listener. Stay tuned to see who our special guest will be. But until then, Xavier, play me an excerpt. Xavier, that's amazing. Really great job. I love your sound. I love your enthusiasm. It's just really great to hear. Strauss, so many notes. The violin part has way more notes than the bass part. This is a big excerpt for the bass. Well, Richard Strauss, I think most string players know Mr. Strauss. And if you don't, you'll get to know him really soon, the longer you're in the music business, because Mr. Strauss wrote a lot of notes for the string players that end up on many auditions, and the first page of Don Juan is probably one of the most asked excerpts for the violins, because I've heard it my entire career, on both sides, in many ways, both sides of the screen, one behind the screen, but then hearing many friends play it as well. So Javier, nice job on this really difficult work. So let's talk about a few things. I have a few housekeeping items that would get my attention if I was listening to this behind the screen right away. So probably one of the biggest things is rhythm. Javier, sometimes you have a tendency to skip some really important beats. I'm gonna see, for example, bar 6 should be right on the money. And even out the gate. So Javier, I know it's fast, 7 really fast notes. So we can just go, or we go, and I'm not saying put an accent on it, but I think in your head, if there's a way to, I hope I'm not adding another tongue in there. Sorry. It will make it sound, how can I say, just something that's more predictable. And there's an accent on the high, whatever note that is. How can y'all count this many ledger lines? Holy goodness. What note is that? Is this, is it a C natural? C as in B natural? Give me a sec. Fa, la, do, mi, sol. C, that's exactly. Yeah, so on the high B, I could have just used my ear. So dum, ba, D, there's an accent there, so you can definitely set that up. Then da. Great. So I was talking about rhythm, but all this kind of plays into the same thing. I think the whole orchestra, it's not I think the whole orchestra, I know the whole orchestra meets right at that second beat of the first bar. So that's why that's so important that that's clear. So that's super, super clear. And then fine. I think because this is an accent, to set it up a little bit, maybe not so much with time, but with a little bit of poise, a little bit of, it doesn't have to rush, and then 2. Sorry. So right on it, no hesitation there. So quarter 8. Another housekeeping thing, the second bar of C was another big error that you should be on the lookout for. It's right after another one of these. Now, maybe you start to freak out, which is fine. We all do it. I freak out all the time because you know the subito piano is coming. So what happened is you cut the rest, the third beat of the second bar of C, way too short. And that's an error we want to try to avoid. So, and then the piano. So make sure we just don't cut that short. That was a really big deal. Accents. So there are accents throughout this excerpt. There are the accents on the, like the da, B, again, setting it up. But another thing that Mr. Strauss does, which is a little strange, is he puts these accents on the 4th, 16th note of a beat. So for example, in bar 8 and bar 9, the fortissimo, dee dum ba dee ya da da. So, and he does that throughout. So I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but just look for those places where you can actually bring out those offbeat 16th note accents, because I think those are really, really important. This is maybe a personal thing for me, but after that fortissimo, we said that was bar 6, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, 9, 10, 11, bar 11. So dee dum ba dee ya da da ya da dee. I know it's a leap for the octave. Well, not an octave. It's written an octave to play an octave higher. Just make sure we don't put a big gap there. I think that's supposed to be quite cantabile and sung all the way through. So de ya da dee da dee ta, another accent, down ba da dum ba da da, and notice he does that on all the appoggiaturas as well. Dee da da. I know it's only on episode 3, but you've probably heard me mention the appoggiatura like 8 billion times because that's how it works. That mezzo forte after that subito, so dee dum bum should be noticeably softer, and then the crescendo does not begin until the bar that is written, going back to fortissimo. Love, would love to hear that. And don't rush 2 bars for A. When you get to da ya dum ba dee da dee da dee da ya dum, just make sure we don't rush 2 before A. At A, your strokes feel a little labored. It sounds like I hear dum da 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 da. As a bass player, I do play a string. It sounds like it's almost like you're using way too much large limbs instead of something more finite to play these triplets. Again, I'm not a violinist, but if you can think about what that might be, I think it's, because what happens is even just watching the stroke, it seems like it's like versus having something that's a little more nimble, so you can sing through these 16th notes. These triplet notes. So 1. So yeah, really nimble and being able to phrase. If we aren't nimble and aren't phrasing, it just starts to sound really heavy all of a sudden. So that's something to think about. Oh, don't cut the triplets on your 7 for B. It sounded like the last note of every triplet was a little. I know it's hard because I think you have a shift after every single one. Yeah. So that's something you can take some care of. And then 5 before B. D da 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 dee 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 ga da ga da ga da ga da. I think if you can show some of those gestures, it'll make it rhythmically sound, but also musically exciting. So I will start to sing at the cut time before B, right in between B and A. So dum B da da dee. You don't have to make a big deal out of it, but I think even having those little nuances will help with showing the musical how the musical line and what's going on harmonically, because it's just really, really great writing. That's a suggestion. And again, you don't have to overdo it. But again, even just thinking it, I think will be really, really helpful. We talked about some of the contrasts, but another big one is the fourth of B, that that pianissimo, completely having this really soft feel. And really on that C natural, really having it come away. I think that would be really, really nice. Oh, and another big comment for me. This is before C. 1, 2, 3, 4. After you do the scale, da ya da dee da dee da. So sing through the mini window does not begin until after the triplets begin. So and he's giving away a big theme that comes up later in the piece. Da dum ba dee da dee da da da. So really enjoying that tie over the bar line and then singing through after the fact will make it very, very cantabile, and I think something Strauss was looking for in that moment. Yeah, we talked about that. Oh, and then I will end by saying the appoggiaturas after C, in all this technical stuff, I think you can use them also as goalposts. So here's C. But make sure it stays completely in time, because you have the tendency is to rush through the triplets and then we get to the appoggiaturas soon, or we cut the appoggiaturas off too quickly. So we just want to make sure we're aware of that. And then the crescendo begins right away on the third iteration. The crescendo begins, let's go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 before the fortissimo. So it's already getting louder, and then back to the fortissimo. Those are the things I would love to see you think about, and let's listen to it a little bit to see. Yeah, so right away, Javier, that's really, really important, because the whole orchestra plays that together, and if there's any hint that comes early, that will be a huge concern. Yeah, no break there. Make sure you sing all the way through that. Accents. That's a forte. Could be a big difference, not crescendo. Don't rush. And so I hope that starts to paint a picture of some of the things I was talking about. Making sure we can have the rhythmic, how can I say, the rhythmic structure, so that we can build everything else off of it. Every person behind the screen listening to this knows what you're going through. And because of that, they want to see almost this, how can I say, they want to see you, how you deal with almost the pressure and the stress and the audition and being behind the screen. One of the things that shows real strength is making sure we hold those details really, really true. Rhythm, these accents, sitting in things, particularly in music with a lot of notes, because if it starts to fly off, it just makes people nervous. You sound so great. I think these are the things that will just help take all these elements in your playing in this excerpt to the very next level. So as I said at the top of the show, we have a special guest, and this special guest is a longtime friend of mine. Her name is Celeste Golden Boyer, and she is the Second Associate Concertmaster of the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. Javier, you are in great hands to have such an expert to listen and provide feedback on your excerpt. Celeste, what do you have to say?
Hi there. Well, first of all, I just want to congratulate you on a really excellent performance of the Don Juan excerpt. This is one of those excerpts that committees definitely want to hear on their list because right away it gives them a sense of what a violinist is made of. You certainly have it well in hand. One of the things I really appreciated about your performance was your excellent intonation on so many of those very difficult shifts at the beginning of the excerpt. It's so tricky and you really did an amazing job. If I could give you some suggestions, one of them would be to try some of the more fast passages in the lower part of the bow. I noticed that a lot of those passages that were kind of quick with lots of running notes, that you would use sort of the middle to upper half. And I think you might have more success if you move them lower in the bow and particularly use less bow. You might be able to get more of a spiccato and a clear kind of a sound so that we could hear each one of those notes really clearly. Another thing that I think is very important is that you make sure that everything you're playing and even the rests that you are not playing are right in time. That is so important when a judge is sitting behind a screen. We can't see you. One of the first things that we start to do is start to feel that pulse on the inside. And the minute that we hear a violinist start to kind of veer from the pulse, we think, it almost like piques our interest and we think, wait a minute, So you don't want to have that. You don't need it. You're doing such an excellent job. So definitely work with the metronome every time you practice this piece so that even the notes that you aren't playing, as in the rests, you're feeling really clearly on the inside. But really, you're doing an excellent job, and I'm wishing you all the very best. Thank you so much for sharing your performance.
Thank you, Celeste, so much for that fantastic feedback. Hearing your voice reminded me of the days we were in the halls of the Curtis Institute of Music. That was like 3 years ago, right? If you want to play me an excerpt, the details are in the description below. If you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. See you next time.